give and receive and experience the gifts of the season. That's what we've been talking about this whole month, are these gifts of the season, and they aren't just the ones that are under the tree wrapped in pretty paper, are they? The gifts of the season we are being given every day in our hearts. And I believe that that very first precious gift that was given that first Christmas was the gift of unconditional love. That baby born in the manger is a symbol, is a gift from God, that God so loved the world that he gave this Son that came to teach us that we are not separate, that we are no different than he is, that we are all divine in our nature. And so we listen, we heed his words, we look at his teachings. And just as a child, we are open and receptive and expectant on what is it that this wonderful Spirit has for me this day. If I am no different, if I am not separate from this one divine energy, then that is me in expression. I am an expression of divine energy. How does that make you feel? Do you want to live up to that? You are infinite in your nature. Today is not like any other day you've ever experienced. It is a total gift from God. You know, as many times in this life, I have a few things to do on my to-do list. Anybody else? Somebody asked me this morning if I was ready for Christmas. Well, of course I'm ready for Christmas. I mean, not everything's done that I want to have done, but oh yes, I'm ready for Christmas. And many, many times in our life, we get so caught up in the doing, in the to-do list and checking it off, and all of those things that we get sidetracked. We get diverted and taking a detour on the stuff of the season, rather on the substance of the season. And we can talk ourselves into the fact that, oh yes, I'm doing Christmas. I've got everything just right for Christmas. But unless we absolutely open our hearts and feel the love, all we're doing with all of the activities and all the to-dos is like taking a bandage and putting it over a wound and thinking that that's going to heal a festering wound. I had an interesting thing happen to me yesterday. My index finger, you know, the pad of it here, it's kind of an important finger. You do a lot with it, right? And as I was taking my walk, I thought, well, that's interesting. My finger's inflamed, it's hot, it's swollen, and I could not see anything that was like a little, you know, sometimes you get a splinter, you know, and it's under the skin, and you think, well, I gotta get that out of there, and you can kind of see it. I couldn't see a darn thing. Nothing. But I could sure feel it. I could feel there's something there. And my head said, I gotta get that out. Whatever it is, I gotta take care of that. And then I just decided, well, you know, I was in my talk talking about a festered wound. Is this something that Spirit's playing with me? And so I decided, well, you know, if there's nothing I can see about it, then I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to bless it, know that it's fine. And actually, it's kind of healed itself. I gave it that treatment, that special treatment that I give. Do you all have that too? When you have an owie or a wound, you know, when you used to go to grandmama and she'd kiss it and make it better. I do myself with a treatment. And I whatever I have an owie, or if I have anything that bothers me or whatever, I just tell myself, I just wrap it in love and I know my perfection, and I know my wholeness. And I don't know, it's like magic. It just works. You might want to try it. You know, Becky and I were camping this last week up in Oxanita. Well, I say camping. We were in a cabin. You know, with cable, with, you know, internet, Wi-Fi, you know, full kitchen, the whole bit. So we had the TV on, and you know, I don't really usually watch TV, but we had the TV on, and you can't imagine the number of shows that are on about Christmas time. And there's lots of them about Christmas lights and displays, and people just go crazy with all of these things that they do to their house. And this one fellow, he's in England, and for 20 years, he has celebrated Christmas every single day. Literally. He goes downstairs, and the first thing he's eager to open up the package underneath the tree because he knows there's a gift there for him. Every day, he makes a turkey dinner, full and complete. He says that he's gone through, he doesn't know how many ovens in 20 years because he's worn him out cooking all this. His daughter, they interviewed his daughter, and she called it a Christmas addiction. I think that I'd have to agree with her. But he just loves it. Well, then it comes to find out that when this whole thing started, it started after his divorce. Now, I'm not going to judge anybody. If they're happy with their life, they're happy with their life. But he may want to get some counseling. Well, I kept thinking, how in the world does this guy make a living? Because, I mean, literally, he was talking about he buys a new car. But if you're getting ready for Christmas every single day of the year, you couldn't do anything else. I mean, really, if you're wrapping, we know how long it takes to get ready for Christmas. How could you make a living? In any event, there was another story where a woman loves gingerbread. And gingerbread was just her thing. She had all this decorations inside her home of gingerbread. Well, I didn't quite follow the whole thing, but at one point I noticed that she had a blindfold on, and her daughter was leading her outside and leading her up, and the daughter, I guess, had taken everything on the outside of the house and decorated it with gingerbread things. Oh my gosh, when they took the blindfold off of this woman, she just burst into tears. She was just so happy to have this gingerbread decorations now on the outside of her house as well. And now to me, what that sparked in me was the fact that the daughter knew the importance, the value, the love that the gingerbread gave to her mother. And so that's when she decided, I'm going to give that to her. And so when we're thinking about the gifts of Christmas and giving them, think about the other person and what sparks in them, what's love for them. And to see that joy in their eyes from what comes up for them as a love. And remember that as you give the love from your heart, that's contagious. Give it with love no matter what it is. You know, Jesus said that I have come that my joy might be in you and that your joy might be full. You know that each and every one of us is an individual. Each and every one of us is a unique expression of the divine. We all have our own talents, and we want to give them. And many, many times what ends up happening is that we get self-critical of ourselves. And we hold ourselves back from sharing our gifts because we don't think they're good enough. We don't think that other people would enjoy them the way maybe we would. And so we hold ourselves back. I wanted to share with you, do you know the origin of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? You know, I'm familiar with that story, aren't you? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. There was a guy named Bob May. He was depressed and heartbroken. And he stared out at his drafty apartment window into the chilling December night. His 4-year-old daughter, Barbara, sat on his lap, quietly sobbing. Bob's wife, Evelyn, was dying of cancer. Little Barbara couldn't understand why her mommy could not come home. Barbara looked up into her dad's eyes and asked, why isn't mommy just like everyone else's mommy? Bob's jaw tightened and his eyes welled with tears. Her question brought waves of grief and also of anger. It had been the story of Bob's life. Bob always had to be different. Being small when he was a kid, Bob was often bullied by other boys. He was too little at the time to compete in sports. He was often called names he'd rather not remember. From childhood, Bob was different and never seemed to fit in. He did complete college, married his loving wife, and was grateful to get a job as a copywriter at Montgomery Ward during the Great Depression. Then he was blessed with his little girl, but it was all short-lived. Evelyn's bout with cancer stripped them of all their savings, and now Bob and his daughter were forced to live in a 2-bedroom apartment in the Chicago slums. Evelyn died just days before Christmas in 1938. Bob struggled to give hope to his child, for whom he couldn't even afford to buy a Christmas gift. But if he couldn't buy a gift, he was determined to make one, a storybook. Bob had created an animal character in his own mind and told the animal's story to little Barbara to give her comfort and hope. Again and again, Bob told the story, embellishing it more with each telling. Who was the character? What was the story about? The story Bob created was his own autobiography in fable form. The character he created was a misfit outcast like he was. The name of the character? The little reindeer named Rudolph with a big shiny nose. Bob finished the book just in time to give it to his little girl on Christmas Day. But the story doesn't end there. The general manager of Montgomery Ward caught wind of the little storybook and offered Bob May a nominal fee to purchase the rights to print the book. Wards went on to print Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and distribute it to children visiting Santa Claus in their stores. By 1946, Wards had printed and distributed more than 6 million copies of Rudolph. That same year, a major publisher wanted to purchase the rights from Wards to print an updated version of the book. In an unprecedented gesture of kindness, the CEO of Wards returned all rights back to Bob May. The book became a bestseller. Many toy and marketing deals followed, and Bob May, now remarried with a growing family, became wealthy from the story he created to comfort his grieving daughter. But the story doesn't end there. Bob's brother-in-law, Johnny Marks, made a song adaptation to Rudolph. Though the song was turned down by many popular vocalists such as Bing Crosby and Dinah Shore, it was recorded by the singing cowboy, Gene Autry. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was released in 1949 and became a phenomenal success, selling more records than any other Christmas song with the exception of White Christmas. The Gift of Love that Bob May created. Oh boy. For his daughter so long ago, kept on keeping to bless him time and time again. And Bob May learned the lesson, just like his dear friend Rudolph, that being different isn't so bad. In fact, being different can be a blessing. Let us know. Thank you. I can't find mine. My hanky's down here somewhere, it's buried. Let us know. Follow your heart to do what is yours to do. I talked about watching TV, and many times I watch football, I have to say. But every time the ads come on, I turn the sound down so I don't hear the sound of the ads, what they're selling. But one ad that's been on intrigued me. And it's an illustration. And it's a little girl sitting at a computer, and then some other little animal opens up the window and all the papers go flying out. And she's freaks out over the fact that all of her papers are getting lost. And as she runs down and tries to collect her papers, she sees people finding her writings, and they are just thrilled with them. And I had to look it up because I never really just listened to it. I can just see what's going on. And it's an Apple ad to share your gifts. So don't hold back this coming Christmas. Know that you are enough, just as you are. You're perfect. And that you have unique, special gifts to give. So give them with that spirit of joy, with that spirit of love. And you will absolutely experience the peace that passes understanding. And you will let it multiply and heighten and increase in your arena. And all the people that you contact, be your beautiful, beautiful self, just as you are. It is the best gift that you can give this Christmas. Namaste.